new day, yes it is.
Hello and welcome to another week in wrestling. I'm Luke Janesco.
Casey Church.
Dynamite, D. Harris.
And where the hell were you last week?
Hey, I was getting my martial arts Taekwondo black belt, kicking some serious ass.
Right.
See,
Very cool, but we had to stick with Gabor again last week. And
but now this week in wrestling has credibility. We've got a black belt on the podcast.
I think they call it what they call this in the wrestling industry is legit.
Yeah, legit tough
there
guy.
you go.
You're right up there with Rick Rude.
I'm somewhere in between Rick Rude and Brock Lesnar. Somewhere.
There we go.
somewhere.
All right, well, busy week.
Yes,
D
yes.
wasn't here last week to give us his predictions on the Rumble, but now we can actually discuss the fallout, which is, I was thinking about it. We talked about it, and a lot of stuff that we thought was going to happen didn't really happen.
No.
A lot of disappointment.
Sorely disappointed. I love the Rumble show, and we'll get into this when we actually talk about it.
It was presented very, very well.
It was presented well. A lot of great matches. Even the pre-show matches were fantastic, though. And I was talking to you guys via text about this. WWE, you need to stop interrupting these fucking matches with commercial breaks.
Not just that, these stupid crowd shots.
Oh, please, God, that is so annoying. But yeah, pretty much every match on the card was solid, but the thing that disappointed me was the Rumble match itself, and that should be the one thing that you're the most hyped about in the Rumble show.
Yeah,
it's
that's what
the
you pay
Rumble
for.
match. It's what you pay for, and
It's in theory, it's supposed to be the most exciting on the card, but
I mean, I'm glad it was the last match on the card, as it should. There were a couple times when they had to do a couple things.
yeah.
To end the show with special, so the Rumble match was moved up, like Undertaker collapsing the ring and stupid crap like that.
Yeah.
But I love the show. The show was great. It's just that, and we'll get into this when we actually talk about the Rumble match. It just came off as just bland. It was just a bland Rumble match to me. So.
All right, well, we'll get right into it since we do have a lot to discuss. We're going to talk about TakeOver and the Rumble, and then we'll just get into actually what happened on Raw and SmackDown last week. We'll start off with NXT Takeover San Antonio. Now, I'm only going to cover the championship matches. If you guys have anything to say about the other two on the card, we'll just talk
There
about
were
it
other matches on the card?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, NXT Tag Team Championship match. The Authors of Pain defeat DIY for the championships, crowning new champions.
I knew this was coming, but it really hurt me to see DIY lose those belts.
Yep.
So soon, too. I was hoping they would get a really lengthy reign.
But you know what? I was wondering why they were having they had two title defenses in a week after, every other week on NXT TV, and then they defended on one of the Australian shows.
Yep.
Against TM61 before Shane Thorne got injured.
Yeah,
I was like, why are they defending the championship so much? And it made sense here because they planned on
wanted to
taking
dethrone
the belts
them
off of them.
Right, and it was a good match. It made sense. I felt like Arthur Payne winning the championship was more to benefit the manager.
Yeah, Paul Ellering.
I keep wanting to call him James Ellering for some reason, but it just seemed like it was to benefit him more than it was the actual wrestlers. Disappointed because we all know Johnny Gargano. He's a hometown guy. NXT's apparently coming to Cleveland in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think in July. So that would be sweet to see. But I think they're gonna win it back. It wouldn't shock me if the next takeover around WrestleMania season that they didn't get a rematch and won the championships back. But I'm not disappointed with the short reign. I think it's good for both Gargano and Ciampa. I don't see them. I honestly, and it kills me to say this because it's such a dynamic tag team, I don't see them staying together past the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't shock me if whether they won the championships again or if this was their only reign, if one of them didn't turn heel and go off and do their own thing after summer.
Yeah, because they're such strong, like on the indie scene, they were strong singles competitors. To put them all together, it's kind of, especially with how limited the talent pool is in NXT right now, to kind of have those two together, you're kind of missing the boat on them singles-wise.
Yeah, it makes sense, though. I do think DIY is a credible champion. I did like their title reign, how brief it was. It was at Takeover Toronto, wasn't it, when they won the belts?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it was November. So yeah, about a 2-month reign. With how thin the tag team division is in NXT, I guess that's kind of predictable. It's kind of like the cruiserweight division in a way. Not that the cruiserweight division is thin per se, but there's not a whole lot of big names or credible guys aside from Neville, maybe Brian Kendrick, TJ Perkins, and Rich Swann. You have that solid 4 there, which is why, I didn't mind, the Cruiserweight Championship jumping to so many guys in such a short amount of time, because you want to build up that division to show that there are champions or
credible contenders.
Champions. Yeah, exactly. Credible contenders that could challenge for that belt. Right now, since the Ascension, NXT really hasn't had that. So it makes sense to me why Arthur Sapane, where you want these big smash mouth kind of guys that could run you through a brick wall kind of guys to go through it. The only downside that I see for this is I was almost expecting Sanity, Eric Young, and one of his guys to make a run with the tag belts, and I don't think that's going to happen now, because a heel champion's not going to beat a heel challenger. So unless DIY does win the belts back come WrestleMania weekend, WrestleMania weekend, because the Hall of Fame ceremony is on a Friday, so I'd imagine they're doing Takeover on a Saturday, which, to be honest, I preferred what they did last year, having the Takeover on a Friday and the Hall of Fame ceremony on Saturday.
I think that's how they've been doing it, but I guess they want to. I don't know how they booked the arena, so that's probably they had to switch them, because that's the only time.
Maybe they saw that WCPW was coming to Orlando that the day before WrestleMania. It's like,
I don't think they care. I don't think they care. I don't think Vince knows what WCPW is.
But yeah, disappointed that Gargano and Ciampa aren't the champions anymore. But storyline wise, I do like where they're going with it. So 50-50 feelings towards this one.
Okay. Well, like I said before, I'm sad to see those championships come off of those two. And the only reason I'm sad to see that happen is because I really didn't want those two to break up before they made it to the main roster.
Yeah.
And it looks like they may break up before then. But if that means that, say, Ciampa and Gargano split up, we know it's going to be Ciampa. It's going to be the bad guy. We already know. But say they split up, that means we'll have a somewhat bigger field for the NXT championship. Because after the tag title situation, that's the only place you can really put those two guys.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a second-tier belt, thank goodness, in NXT. They don't. So that's
they don't need one.
Yeah. Especially on a show that's only an hour long. Because one thing I like, you get to focus on, with 3 belts, you get to focus on different champions each week.
And they actually have to concentrate on developing feuds that aren't around a championship.
Yes.
For me, I wanted DIY to keep them, obviously. The Authors of Pain, I know Casey was talking about how they're the big beat-em-up kind of tag team. I just really don't get that feel from them. I did get it from the Ascension, regardless of what has happened to them now, but when they were in NXT, they were kind of that tough guy tag team. I really don't get that from the Ascension, from the Authors of Pain.
They're blank slate. They just have one-word names. All the
they're faceless.
The
faceless mercenaries.
Yeah, exactly. Paul Ellering is the only mouthpiece. They don't say anything for themselves, and really, just because you have famous tag team manager that no one of this generation, at the very least, has really ever heard of, unless they go back to watch old NWA Legion of Doom stuff. They're not going to know who that is. So I'm happy that they won for him, but they only won because of him.
Yeah.
And these are guys that, if they do ever come up to the main roster, they're going to be Ascension. They're essentially going to be, despite being big, can, like I said, beat you through a brick wall. They're going to essentially be lower mid card jobbing tag teams for the guys that they want to push towards the championships on either brand. So if I'm WWE creative right now working at NXT, I'm definitely one to keep them down in developmental for a long time. Like, at the very least, if you try to bring them up before SummerSlam, you're delusional. You need to keep them down there for at least another year. Or at the very least, try to develop some kind of backstory for these guys other than famous guy's a manager and we like to beat people. That's the only story at this point.
Yeah,
So.
they don't even speak English. Well, the characters don't. I'm pretty sure you can't really work for WWE without speaking some form of English or something.
Yeah. We'll move on to the NXT Women's Championship match. Asuka defeats Nikki Cross, Billie Kay, and Peyton Royce to retain her championship.
It wasn't bad, Casey, but it wasn't your typical Asuka match. This is one of the problems with multi-person matches. You have to spread out especially in one of the obviously wanted to make Nikki Cross look strong.
Yeah.
So they put her through a table.
Yeah.
And Asuka beat up the other two.
I did like the Billie Kay Peyton Royce team up just because it was something a little different. It was like a four-way, but it was really those two against
they didn't
the
care which one won.
Yeah.
Seems like 'cause they were helping each other pin the other one.
You see, that was the problem I had with the match because, you have two best friends in a fatal four-way where potentially you're teaming up, don't care who wins, but one of them is going to have a bigger ego than the other. So you expected them to at least have like a shoving match or say, no, I'm getting the pin. No, I'm getting the pin. And they didn't do that. And it just felt like for a fatal four-way match for a championship, this felt way too short for me. It didn't feel like you said, it didn't feel like an Asuka match because she didn't tear through as many people. The Nikki Cross, who was the one I was actually kind of hoping would win, give Sanity a little bit of credibility, was put through a table. So take her out of the equation.
Yeah,
and these two Australian little mean girls are really getting on my nerves.
Hey, guess what? Have you noticed it in poor Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, but have you noticed that at the NXT shows, every time they get the microphone, the fans go, "No one cares, no one," before they even say anything. No one cares. Yeah, no one cares.
And I don't think that's their accents or anything like that. I think that
they just don't care.
Yeah, they just don't care about these characters because we already have Alexa Bliss, we already have Natalya in her current incarnation, we already have Charlotte on Raw. We have enough of these characters. We don't need them flooding NXT. I mean, the thing that NXT should be is to try out new things when it comes to booking characters and developing character for these characters. And just by going to the well for, I'm rich, I'm privileged, and I can still beat you up, and I can back up, my words with my fists. And, we've seen this how many times during the Divas era? And if we're trying to pass off the women's division on not just NXT but for Raw and SmackDown as beyond bra and panty pillow fights and things like that, then you really have to start booking these wrestlers as human beings and not just cartoon characters. And that's what they've been doing over the past couple of years. When I first saw Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, I'm just like, oh God, here we go again. And look, I'm not trying to mock anyone's nationality or anything, but their Australian accents aren't helping a little. And I'm not sold on their in-ring style. I mean, this is going back to models coming in and wrestling.
Well, they were both pretty popular in the indies, though.
I understand that, but people look at them. They're not. You look at them. If you just put out a photo spread of them, you look at them. You're not going to imagine them as wrestlers, and that's what I'm saying. It's essentially, they're a pretty face and they can go in the ring. They're very athletic. Let's go ahead and sign them to a contract. It just comes off as, if you danced at halftime during like an NBA game, you could potentially be a WWE diva or superstar. That's been their mentality for years, and look, they surprised me in their ability in this match. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that they can't go or they should be fired or that they're not potential, women's champions. But just to me, in the way this match was scripted and booked, I felt like it just fell flat because you didn't have that kind of interaction that I was expecting. So,
well, this match was a little short. I think it went around 9 minutes?
Yeah,
something like
for
that.
a Fatal 4-Way, that's too short for me.
Yeah, but I think it was because they want to protect Nikki Cross. Thank goodness it wasn't Nikki Bella.
Oh God!
I wanted to make sure you guys knew which Nikki I was talking about. But they wanted to protect Nikki Cross, but they wanted to make sure because Asuka's beaten Peyton and Billie Kay before, so they wanted to make sure. Okay, now even though they're double teaming her, like there's still no match for her because she clearly beat both of them up. She even gave both of them like a weird German suplex.
Yeah,
but clearly, especially how Asuka walked up the ramp. And Nikki Cross, coming back to consciousness, smiling, looking at Asuka. That's going to be the feud that's going to get Asuka over to Ember Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, this match was like, this is really the first time I remember, especially in the NXT women's division, where I couldn't keep it straight of what the match was until I looked at the card. I kept forgetting of who was wrestling just because it was, for me, it was an underwhelming title defense for Asuka just for her opponents.
Yeah.
Right. Like you said, it was a really short match. I honestly, I do believe this was just like a transition match to get and the Asuka Nikki Cross feud, and to have a reason to, she never actually beat Nikki. So I really just feel like this was treated as a transitional match just to get to the next pay-per-view. So, I mean, to me, yeah, it was very underwhelming, especially for Asuka's reign, but again, we go back to the thinning of the roster. A lot of the women were taken, so... we'll move on to the NXT Championship match. Bobby Roode defeats Shinsuke Nakamura to become the new NXT Champion.
Glorious! I absolutely love this match. I love this match for several reasons. I thought the in-ring competitiveness was fantastic. And I really liked the way the match ended with Shinsuke selling that injury. It definitely, put, Shinsuke in 11 for a rematch because of how injured he was. And it definitely showed his acting ability because I thought he was legitimately hurt. You had Matt Bloom come out, as the acting general manager because I guess Regal couldn't make the trip. And I was surprised he was using his real name, too, because he's been Jason Albert for so long.
They should have just called him Lord Tensai.
But the thing that I really liked about it was, one, you put Bobby Roode over a champion. Someone who's over with the crowd, sings his theme music, someone who deserves the championship and to run with it for a while. It gives Shinsuke a reason to go for a rematch once he's healthy in storyline or whatever. And it also, because a lot of people were still thinking, Shinsuke was going to be a surprise entrant in the Rumble, by having him have that injury, okay, he's not going to be in the Rumble, so what are they planning for NXT? So you have that sense of, okay, he's going to lose the belt, then go straight to the main roster, to, okay, he's losing the belt, and they're going on with this for the future. So I thought it was a great match, definitely match of the night, in my opinion. I'm glad Bobby Roode won, because I wanted to see what he and his character can do in the WWE setting with a championship, because I felt that his TNA World Championship reign wasn't that spectacular to begin with. And I'm very interested to see where it goes from here. I love the match. Great match. Not anywhere near, Sami Zayn Shinsuke levels of good, but definitely was able to wow the crowd. That crowd was hot throughout the entire match. And, I'm glad that Bobby Roode is champion. Don't think he's going to be champion for too long. I don't want to say he'll lose it at WrestleMania time around the next takeover, but it wouldn't shock me if they had like something where he actually lost it on an episode of NXT and build a feud from there. Because if NXT wants to really succeed, in my opinion, they need to start doing that. Again, don't rely on the takeovers too much. I mean, there was a thing where I saw that in order to boost network ratings and buy rates and things like that, they were playing a takeover a month. like they do with the pay-per-views. And I'm
Oh.
just like, no, you need to do this once every
3 to 4 months.
yeah, once every 2 to 3 months. Big four pay-per-views are fine. If you're gonna have one as part of the Big Four pay-per-view weekend, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, cool with that. You also need, if you're gonna have as many takeovers, you need to have them at Full Sail.
Yeah.
Don't just pick cities to hold these things. You need to show support for the people that are supporting the brand.
Yeah, just
in
think
your
about
home
how
arena.
pissed off the fans were when they found out that the first Brooklyn special, when they announced it Full Sail, was very upset.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally, you want to show off because WWE has been surprised of how popular NXT has been. I mean, remember that Brooklyn show, the very first one. Triple H said they were expecting, maybe 5,000 people to buy tickets. They sold out the Barclays Center. They sold it completely out, and they were not expecting that. So, it definitely goes to show that they have something there in NXT, and they want to make sure that people are paying attention to it. But you also don't want to overexpose the product as well.
Right.
Like, keep it as a 1-hour show on the network. Don't put it on USA or Sci-Fi or anything like that. And slow down on the takeovers as well. But you also need to do a little bit more title change, whether it's women's title, tag titles, or the NXT championship. You need to really show that people have a reason to watch it live every Wednesday at 8 o'clock instead of just watch it on demand when they already know what the results may be. So, but like I said, glad Bobby Roode's champion. Very excited to see where the feud goes from here. Obviously, there's going to be a rematch coming up soon, and I'm actually looking forward to see it because if this match was good, the rematch is going to be just as good, if not better.
I'm hoping the storyline here, because I really like Shinsuke Nakamura, and I don't want him to go to the main roster yet, so I'm really hoping the storyline leads to Shinsuke getting into a chase for his third NXT championship to be the only 3-time NXT champion. That would be great. I hate that he lost, but it's more of you being upset with the result than than being upset with the booking. So I mean, if anybody was going to beat him, Bobby Roode was the guy. But also we gotta, I'm not sure if you saw NXT this week, but we gotta I refuse to call him by his new name. We got a Chris Hero sighting backstage.
Cassius Ohno.
Yeah, patting Shinsuke on the back, saying, it sucks that you lost that way. I'm sorry you lost that way. Patting him on the back. And then that was it. But we saw him. He was there.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
That's
that
his big
out.
debut. For me, I was happy Bobby Roode got the title. I feel like, I think it's out of necessity that Shinsuke and Roode are going to be the two guys that are going to feud probably for the better part of 2017 because if we're going to say Bobby Roode's going to move on to his next feud while Nakamura is injured, it's hard for me to even pick out a credible name to present a good matchup for him. So I really think
Bobby Roode versus No Way Jose.
Yes. That's going to bring in the ratings.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think at this point, NXT needs Nakamura versus Roode, like for the next at least 6 months, I think. And I think these two are guys that are going to produce 5-star matches. So I say, why not? I think if you're going to need time to develop talent, you can't have two top tier guys like these two to bring you matches. And like Casey was saying about NXT takeovers happening too frequently, it's like. I completely agree. I'm not even a fan of them doing it for the Big Four because it's such a congested. You have Survivor Series, then the Rumble, then WrestleMania. To do them the Saturday before is just way too much. You can't build. So like you guys said, like 4 months. I think maybe on the road you should have. Maybe at SummerSlam have a takeover on the road, and then at WrestleMania have one on the road, and then the other two should be back at Full Sail, just because it gets so convoluted that these takeovers mean nothing. And to have, because at this point we're all like, okay, he's gonna lose the championship, but which takeover is gonna lose that? We just completely disregard the weekly shows because title changes never happen. So,
and if they do, they're non-televised.
Yep. So I'm happy because I'm not too upset about Nakamura losing because I know he's gonna get it back because there's no one else to feud with at the moment. It just has to be these two.
It would not shock me if they, I don't want to say hot potato it, but it would not shock me if Shinsuke won the title back at the next takeover or the next rematch, whatever, and Rude won it back as kind of like the rubber match.
Yeah.
And that could signal Shinsuke potentially going to the main roster, depending on the time frame and when they want to raid NXT again. So,
yeah.
Exact time frames are kind of iffy at the time, but it would not shock me if they kind of did like the whole Cena Orton thing, not, overexpose it like they're apparently doing again, but definitely have them have a couple matches, have the Rebel match be, I don't know, a ladder match or something special, another cage match, or even the first NXT Hell in a Cell match, who knows, but something has to be special for that third match, and Bobby Roode can win it, because we're all pretty much in agreement that Bobby Roode needs to be the flag bearer of NXT. He needs to stay there long term, because he's that veteran presence. He can help coach the young kids in the developmental center, as well as be, a top guy in the actual show to get these guys over in the ring and try to groom them to become the next top superstar.
Yeah, and even though his character is a dick, Bobby Roode, the actual guy, he seems like a high character dude. Yeah. So I think that's what they need down there.
All right, guys. Final thoughts on NXT Takeover. If you had to give it a grade,
this was a mess show, and it was meh from the card. I have to give it, I'll say a solid B. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't, like any of the matches were bad. The Ty Dillinger match was okay. The Eric Young match was all right. Actually, that was the same match. I don't even remember the other one. I'll just give it a solid B, because just looking at the card and looking at the talent in it, it just didn't have the same kind of oomph that the other NXT TakeOver shows had. The other ones, Dallas, Toronto, what have you, you had the sense of, okay, I need to see this, and I need to see it live on Saturday. I can't wait to see it the next day on demand. And with spoilers, I need to see this as it happens. This one, you really didn't care. The only match that, you really cared about was Rude versus Shinsuke. And like I said, that was match of the night. It was a good match, but the rest of the card just wasn't worth writing home about. So I'll say B, points for effort. Everyone did their jobs well, but it just didn't come off the page as the other NXT takeovers have, which again, that's another problem, because they've hyped themselves up so much with the past shows that any show that's a good show but not remarkable is going to look as something of a failure. Flat. So
I'm going to give it a B+, almost an A-, simply because of the fact that card, when you looked at it on paper, you was like, okay.
Yeah.
At first. But they made the total most out of what they had, and turned out to be a pretty solid wrestling show.
Yeah.
And the main event ended well, so, hey, I'm giving it a B+. Almost an A-. I just don't want to give it an A- because I don't feel like it's an A category, but it's still a very, very solid NXT show.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid B. Match quality-wise, I think Shinsuke and Bobby Roode bring up the average way high. Like Casey said, when he put it up against a lot of the other NXT shows, it just wasn't there this time around. And that's due to a lot of different rating and such. But they tried to make it an intriguing event, at least with title changes and things like that. And you had Nakamura versus Roode, which was probably the best booking you could get, even if they hadn't been in this situation. But so they did put together a few good matches. I think right now they're just such in a rebuilding phase, because I'm waiting for Eric Young to break out. I think he's going to be a main event guy. CN, I think, is going to be another one to look out for eventually.
I really don't like him.
You don't like him?
I don't like Almas. Roderick Strong. He'll be a good breakout guy. That'll probably be the guy. When this whole Shinsuke Nakamura Bobby Roode thing is done, he'll probably be the one feuding with Bobby Roode.
I think that.
But I'm not a fan of seeing Almas. I gave him a chance. I just don't like him. I don't.
I think he's got to lose that little dopey hat and the suspenders and stuff.
I mean, that's not really Jesus in disguise?
Oh, my gosh.
But I'll go ahead and give it a B. Just a little underwhelming compared to the other takeovers, which is kind of expected. But we'll move on to the main roster pay-per-view, WWE Royal Rumble 2017. Show kicked off with the WWE Raw Tag Team Title Championship match. The Club defeats Cesaro and Sheamus to become the new Tag Team Champions.
Long overdue, and I actually really liked the way this match was because it had the two referee gimmick because of the shenanigans going on. One of the referees was inadvertently knocked out, so you had the other referee come in, didn't see the tights being pulled, and that's how the Club wins. Long overdue. Thought the Club should have definitely had a tag team reign long before Cesaro and Sheamus were even considered. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, D. Definitely happy to see that they're getting the dues that they've done. The only problem is I just don't like their characters right now. And not that it's that far off from what they did in New Japan, but,
Nerd.
Exactly. That drives me up a freaking wall. These guys are essentially, New Japan's version of the Outsiders. Hall and Nash coming in and take over the promotion. They came in. I don't even think they use the Club name on WWE TV anymore.
I don't know.
Not for those two individually.
Yeah. The shirts still say it, but they're just Anderson and Gallows. But we know them as a Club, so we're just going to keep calling them the Club. Definitely glad that they are champions. I think they'll be champions for a long time. I don't see Sheamus and Cesaro winning the titles back because we're already seeing the phrase of their relationship that kind of started off when they first started tagging with each other. And they're showing again, and it's going to come down to a match between those two, probably at Fastlane. I'm not going to say WrestleMania because they'll be in the Andre the Giant match.
Fastlane is still a pay-per-view. Oh, my gosh. Why?
Because WWE Network needs buy rates at this point.
You have Elimination Chamber and Fastlane coming up.
The good news with Fastlane is it's a long ways away, so Raw has time to build up. Elimination Chamber is next fucking week. But yeah, I'm glad the Club won. I definitely liked the way the match finished. It was a good match. Interrupted with a commercial break. Fucking stop that, WWE. Even if it's a fucking pre-show, if it's on the network, stop fucking doing that. NXT's fine if you need to do your shit, but on a pay-per-view pre-show, no, that doesn't fucking work. I mean, like, you need the fucking table talk time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ain't like I need to hear, Jerry the King Lawler's prediction for the fucking WWE title match. Like, who the fuck cares? But yeah, I like the match. I think the Club's going to have a lengthy reign. Wouldn't it shock me if they kept the titles at least until SummerSlam? I think they'll have those titles for a very, very long time. Not a New Day-esque reign, but... definitely they'll be the flag bearers of that brand for a while.
I think they'll only carry them till WrestleMania because Enzo and Cass have to get their due now.
That's true, but right now
the whole word last year around SummerSlam was that Cass and Enzo were really going to start. They're really going to start picking up with their tag team push around WrestleMania. So I wouldn't be surprised if within the next few weeks we start seeing interaction again with Cass and Enzo and Anderson and Gallows.
I understand that. If I'm WWE, I would probably have a feud in between that, though. I'd probably find another tag team to feud in between the Club and Enzo, get in the way, something for Fastlane, whether it's a rematch for the tag belts with Sheamus and Cesaro, or another team. But unlike SmackDown, the tag team division is kind of thin on Raw's side, which is kind of weird. So I don't know off the top of my head who else they could feud with aside from Cesaro and Sheamus. Maybe, well, no, that's SmackDown too. I was going to say the Ascension, but they're SmackDown. Yeah, I don't really know. So I think at Fastlane it's just going to be a rematch between those two, and then you can move on to Enzo and Cass. But you definitely don't want to throw both of those guys in the fire just yet. Find another feud for them if you're not going to continue the whole Rusev, Jinder Mahal thing, because it looks like that's finally done, thank God. They'll find something else to do. They'll find someone else to call a couple haters and go from there. But whether they lose the titles at WrestleMania to Enzo and Cass or they keep it all the way through the end of the year, I'm so glad that the club are finally getting their due in WWE. I think it's long overdue. They should have had the tag team titles at least, months ago. And definitely those red straps look good around their waist. So definitely like the fact that they're tag team champions finally.
It works for me. I've been a big fan of the club since they came in. And at least for, I guess, an hour or two, the entire club was a champion. So.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll get to AJ and when we get there, because that sucked the life out of the show for me at first.
For me, I'm glad they're tag champs. I really feel like this is laying the groundwork for Finn Balor's return if they're gonna join forces. Because they can tease it whether they do it or they don't. But at the rate that the club had been jobbed out, it would mean nothing whether he joined them or not. It would probably bring him down. So I think if he does join him, this is gonna add credibility to the faction of them already being champions. Like you guys said, I really don't know who the club would feud with after Cesaro and Sheamus other than Enzo and Cass, because I looked at the SmackDown tag division and it's kind of paper thin as well, at least with credible contenders.
Yeah.
So I don't know who they would feud with. I hope they don't lose it at WrestleMania yet, because even after that, I don't know who Enzo and Cass would feud with if they got it.
They have more heels to feud with, though. They obviously say they won. Enzo and Cass obviously feud with Anderson and Gallows first. Then, it seems like they want to do a start and stop heel push with the Shining Stars.
Yeah,
because they were getting wins for a while.
They still exist.
Yeah,
because
they were feuding with Golden Truth. That's another tag team that still exists for whatever fucking reason. Isn't our Truth 50? Why isn't he gone yet?
How old is Truth now? Oh, Truth is old.
Yeah, he's got to be 45, 46 at this point.
I'm going to look that up right now because it's going to bother me the rest of the show if I don't figure it out.
Because I remember it was like 2000. Yeah, it was 2000 when he was K-Quick with Road Dogg.
Yeah.
Way back when. And
He's
then
45. He just turned 45.
Wow.
Yeah, Truth is on the tail end of his career.
Yeah, ever since the division split, you have credible tag teams in each division, but the rest of the tag teams are throwaways, so there's really no credible feuds because Enzo and Cass, I don't think anyone's clamoring for a Shining Stars feud. It's debatable if they're clamoring for the club feud after they've been jobbed out so much. American Alpha, other than the Usos, there's no one really. So it's debatable if they should have split the divisions like that instead of just keeping one championship. But I am glad that the club actually finally got championships. But we'll see where it goes, I guess. We'll move on to Nia Jax defeats Sasha Banks.
Oh gosh. Mind you, I didn't watch the pre-show. That's why the Royal Rumble was a more digestible show to me. I missed everything up until the actual Rumble show started because I didn't bother because it was just going to be too freaking long for me. But I went back and looked at 1 minute to 30-second clips they had recapping everything. And when I saw this match with Nia Jax and Sasha, this did no favors for Sasha at all. She was women's champion last month or the month before, and now she just squashed. That they did her no favors.
Yeah, and it wasn't like this wasn't a predictable result to begin with. We knew that Nia Jax is going to be the monster of the women's division, at least until Asuka eventually gets called up.
Actually, and speaking of that, they did a show. It was an NXT special, and Nia Jax lost to Asuka again. So there goes your your build up for.
Oh, don't worry, because NXT doesn't exist on the main roster. You just wipe the hard drive clean
until it serves them well to mention something that happened there.
Yep. Remember, you could have sold this before if you only paid $9.99. It's still on demand. Look, like you said, it did no favors. Obviously, they were trying to sell the knee injury a little more. They had the rematch the next night on Raw, I think, between the two. I don't know where this feud is going. Obviously, it's a vehicle to push Nia Jax to be that the new heel face of the women's division. I mean, obviously Charlotte's still a heel; she's still champion. We'll get to that match soon enough, but not sure where they're gonna go from here. I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to job Sasha out to Nia again for Fastlane. Maybe they'll give her a win over her at that point, and we'll see where it goes going into WrestleMania. But this match definitely deserved to be on the pre-show because it didn't do any favors storyline-wise. You knew what was going to happen the second the bell rang, and the crowd just wasn't necessarily into it aside from, meh. So it served its purpose, I guess, to put Nia over, but aside from that, it just didn't do a whole lot of favors storyline-wise, other than just continue to tell the same story that they've been telling for the last several weeks, so no evolution whatsoever.
Yeah, for me, I was disappointed Sasha Banks lost. I honestly, I think this is, I talked about it last week, I really feel like there's going to be a fatal four-way at WrestleMania, and I think this is kind of just a match used to kind of catapult Nia Jax into the conversation, because she has been a monster heel, but she hasn't been really into any type of feud with Charlotte. So I think this is kind of to establish her credibility, and I strongly believe still that Sasha Banks is going to be one that's going to dethrone Charlotte at a pay-per-view for the first time. So I think that's kind of where they're going. I don't know if I'm giving them too much credit to kind of manipulate fans' views as saying Sasha Banks lost again, but then she's going to get her due at WrestleMania. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know if it's going to happen. I can't really say until the day after WrestleMania.
You saw Raw, didn't you?
I saw some of it. I didn't see it all.
They kind of planted the seeds for a heel turn with Sasha.
Oh, did they?
They kind of planted that because Bayley was telling Sasha before she had a rematch with Nia Jax on Raw, which she lost, and that match actually had a terrible finish because the idiot at the timekeeper's table rang the bell before the referee called for the bell.
Yeah.
Anyway, before that match even started, Bayley was telling Sasha that you should wait till your knee's all the way healed, which they're still pushing this fucking knee angle. It happened almost a month and a half ago. Anyway, they're in the back talking. Bayley says, wait till your knees healed to face Nia again. And then Sasha says, well, I feel like I have to beat her now because unlike some people, I'm not happy with coming in second place. And then she walked away from Bayley.
Oh, I did see this.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I chalked that up to just tension because I feel like Bayley, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, and Charlotte are all going to be in a fatal four-way, and I feel like you kind of have you have to have a little tension between every opponent rather than just Bayley and Sasha are friends. I guess that's what I chalked it up to. I'm still saying I think Sasha Banks is going to be face and dethrone Charlotte, but I mean we'll get into that when we do WrestleMania predictions and everything. But I was disappointed that Sasha Banks lost because I would probably say she's my favorite on the main roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime Sasha Banks loses, I cry. But we'll move on to the SmackDown Live 6-woman tag team match. Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Nikki Bella defeat Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Natalya.
This was just a vehicle to. This is just another vehicle to get. Cause Naomi's coming back from that ankle injury, and it's just a vehicle to establish her as the next feud for Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. So.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say, but the most of the complaints I have for this match, I'm going to say for when we talk Cena and AJ, so I got nothing.
Yeah, I just think they wanted a women's match on the pay-per-view.
Here come the women's, folks. Stand up and cheer.
Yeah, I don't think there's really too much to say about this. I think Naomi's going to be up next. So which I'm looking forward to because I love Naomi as well. But
easily the most athletic, probably, arguably in the whole company. If you think about it,
Yeah.
I saw her on the was it NXT? Was it the third season of NXT when it was still on Sci-Fi when they did all women?
The all women's ones.
She was hands down, as far as athletic ability, the standout.
Yeah.
Period. And then of course, AJ Lee was on there too. So as far as personality, she was a standout. As far as all around ability, it was Naomi. So I always knew those two were going to do something. But as far as Naomi, she's been. Like, I feel like she's been pushed to the side.
She's been way underutilized.
Yeah.
For her entire career, I feel, anyway.
Oh, yeah.
They just ruined her theme, though. I kind of like the I'm amazing kind of thing, and I feel like that with the added dubstep, I think they just ruined that.
I think they wanted to give her something to really dance to. And as far as how the last song you were talking about.
Yeah, the Team Bad theme.
Yeah, that kind of felt very heelish.
Yeah.
So I guess
I understand that. I'm just saying that I preferred that
so.
because that's the kind of song that, as badly as you want to get it out of your head, it just keeps playing on a constant repeating loop. And I just preferred that one over the random raindrop sounding dubstep that she has now.
Yeah, you know what? She recorded them both. That's her voice. So I guess.
That's another talent for her.
Yeah.
Check out the box.
All right, we'll move on to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match. Neville defeats Rich Swann to become the true king.
Thank you. We got this on a freaking. I like Rich Swann, but we needed this belt on a known name initially.
Yes.
T.J. Perkins. Nobody knew who T.J. Perkins was. If you were a fan of TNA, we knew who Manic was. Oh my gosh, Manic. And we knew who like the third or fourth Suicide was, even though there was Manic and Suicide the same character. And Puma. I always knew him as Puma.
Yeah.
So when it came to T.J. Perkins, I guess that's okay. He's a good wrestler and
awesome theme music.
Awesome theme music when he came to the main roster. I like the one he had at the Cruiserweight Classic. That was fine. But now, I mean, when they started having him talk and everything he said was like a video game character.
Yeah,
he's like, you can't just hit the reset button because you lose. You got to pick that controller back up and continue. Like, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you go to NXT for.
But Neville, I compare this to around Backlash when Dean Ambrose was the WWE champion and AJ was just red hot. If you didn't put the belt on AJ, then you were going to ruin him. And that's how I felt with this, because Neville's been on fire.
Yeah.
As soon as he came back, he gave the Cruiserweight division credibility. I still feel like they're trying to figure out exactly what to do with his moveset.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want everybody cheering for him. I would still like to see the Red Arrow at least tease or miss. Like, he does the Red Arrow and just misses and smashes into the mat or something.
Yeah.
Every now and again during the match.
And he's slowly doing that. I noticed, I can't remember if it was the Rumble, Raw, or 205 Live, but when he came out, usually, at least when he was doing the face thing, he usually went up to the corner, and stand on the ropes, and at least
that was at the
Rumble.
That was the Rumble. He thought about it and backed away and just waved his hands.
Exactly.
I'm not doing that for you.
Yeah,
people.
and that's perfect. It's what I was saying. A couple weeks ago. Him going to the Rings of Saturn as a finishing move, not finishing with the Red Arrow. I think he did hit the Red Arrow at the Rumble, did he not?
No.
Oh, was it the suplex again? The superplex?
Yeah, he loves that superplex. Jeez.
Yeah, the superplex you can kind of get away with as a heel, but it's like I said a few weeks ago. You need to keep him from the man gravity forgot to the man planet Earth remembered. You need to keep him grounded. If you have him do the Red Arrow every single week, it doesn't matter how much heat he's going to get, with his promos and all that. They're going to stand up and cheer for that move. So you need to take that out of his arsenal, and I think the Rings of Saturn is the perfect way to do it. I'm glad he won with a submission move in the middle of the ring. I'm glad this match was more than 6 minutes. This went a solid 14, and I definitely was happy with the match all around because it made Rich Swann, who apparently is injured now. Don't know how the hell that happened. Watching Monday Night Raw.
I think he rolled his ankle at some point during the match.
Right. It made him look strong. It didn't make him look, weak despite tapping out. It was a great match overall. Neville as a heel champion should last beyond WrestleMania to me. Keep that belt on him as long as possible until you can build up some credibility with these other guys. I think obviously they're going to move to a Cedric Alexander feud now.
Yes, that Cedric's the man.
Don't think he's going to win the championship anytime soon, but that's definitely a feud that you can build the entire Cruiserweight division around with Cedric and Neville. So definitely like this match. It was probably my second favorite match of the night. Wish they would have kept the ropes alone. I think that if you're going to do a Cruiserweight match on a pay-per-view,
Just leave it.
just leave it. Just don't change anything. If you want to do that for Raw, fine. Not a fan of it, but I'm not against it either. 205 Live, obvious reasons, though I hear 205 Live isn't doing well on the network, so who knows how long that's going to last.
Go figure. It comes on after SmackDown.
Exactly.
And even in the arena, it's after the people are thinking the show's over. They probably have to
Right.
remind you the whole time to stay for 205 Live.
Right, and of course they have a dark match. That's another SmackDown.
Just do it at
main
like
event.
7 o'clock before SmackDown even airs.
205 Live is listed on WWE Network as being 45 minutes anyway. You can start it at 7 o'clock, have that be the show that gets everyone pumped up, then go into
I have no idea why they won't do that.
Pre-show.
Because instead of doing it while people are leaving the building, obviously, do it while people are coming into the building.
Exactly. There's a reason why when they still did the Raw and SmackDown pre-shows when the network first launched, you can actually peer over and see, Superstars and Main Event be recorded previously. And it's like, hey, look, Jack Swagger beat R-Truth for Superstars, but to tweet that out, and that raises conversation, and that gets people to watch it. Not a lot of people, but it did get people to watch it. Yeah. They could easily just do, 205 Live, 7 o'clock, get the show, get the crowd pumped up for the actual SmackDown. That 15 minutes in between ended at 7:45. Use that as like a SmackDown pre-show, and then tell people turn to USA for SmackDown Live. It's a simple fix. I don't know why they just feel like 7 o'clock's too early. It wasn't too early.
It wasn't too early for the Raw pre-show.
No, exactly. Maybe they just think because of live wrestling. Wasn't Main Event when they were doing that? Wasn't that shown at 7 o'clock?
On WGN, yes, it was.
All right, so I don't see the issue here. But overall, definitely glad that this is happening to the Cruiserweights. It wasn't until after I went on that fucking tangent that they started cleaning their shit up. Except there was that match I think it was last week on Raw. The last match of the night was that Noam Dar Cedric Alexander match that was more commercial break than actual match on TV. Oh God. But slowly but surely they're picking up steam. I'm starting to recognize a lot of these faces now. And I think the Cruiserweight division's in a lot better hands right now. I just hope that if 205 Live isn't doing that well and people aren't going to the network to watch it or even watch it on demand, what that's going to do to the Cruiserweights if they do end up canceling the show. So, who knows? It's obviously a huge mystery at this point, but if this is the starting point of it being a legitimate Cruiserweight division, it was this match at the Rumble. So, definitely happy Neville won the title.
For me, I thought Neville would win. Rich Swann is another guy I really feel like WWE needs to invest in him for. I think eventually he'll be big, but I think the hesitation on WWE's part to actually pull the trigger on the Cruiserweight division was not having that credible champion, which Neville was an established star before the Cruiserweight's inception, and now they brought him into there, so I feel like they feel as he's a homegrown talent, already established on the actual roster, so now we'll put the championship on him, and I mean, I feel he's proving his heel work is phenomenal, so I think people are going to really get behind him, and I love the more grounded arsenal from him. I think with the Red Arrow, I'd like to see him use it only on special occasions, almost treat it like a Styles Clash or something like that, where if he can't beat somebody, then he's kind of got to go back to the well of his Cruiserweight moves and try to beat them at his own at their own game. So I think maybe we'll see it at WrestleMania. If Cedric Alexander is his next feud, I would love to see that. Cedric is another guy WWE needs to invest in. The guy's got a great look. I mean, the guy is jacked to the gill.
He needs to get. They need to get him far away from Alicia Fox and Noam Dar at this point.
Please, that ship has long since sailed. I mean, you guys.
I was over it after a few weeks, and they realized it, I guess, and got got her away from him. But now that Alicia's clearly with Noam Dar now, they need to They don't need to be around each other at all. Move Noam and Alicia to something else, and let Cedric Alexander, like, you know, that, to me, this is a guy who would be wrestling for the Universal Championship or WWE Championship before the end of the year. I don't think he's going to win it, but like on a Raw or something, like some say we got a heel champion that issues an open challenge or something like that. Hey,
who knows? It all depends on, because this is exactly what happened in WCW. Give him that label cruiserweight, and you kind of, I don't want to say you're grounding them at that point, but you're getting that glass ceiling there. Is like, can they actually break free from that label and actually go on for a WWE or Universal Championship? As far as Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar, though, I think that story's done. If there was any indication of that feud ending, it was on 205 Live with that tag match that they had. Not sure about Lisa Fox, though. I'm sure she'll show up somehow, but who knows? But
who knows?
Cruiserweight division. Let me just say this: with the rant that I had a couple weeks ago about the cruiserweights, they have shown tremendous progress in a very short amount of time, and I have renewed faith that this is a good idea. Yeah. This is WWE, however, and they can always turn a good idea into shit. So who knows? But as of right now, I'm considering what happened Sunday night to be the official start of the true cruiserweight division in WWE, and I hope to God that whoever's writing for the cruiserweight division, if it's the same team that does Raw, or if it's a completely different team by themselves or whatever, they definitely follow through with the good start that they have right now.
The one thing I think that's going to keep the cruiserweight division from progressing is that
Vince McMahon.
Well, they're treating the division as if a guy that's 205 can never take on a guy that's 210. Let's face it, Cedric Alexander's only going to get so popular when he faces a guy like Neville because there's only so much star power there. They treat it like when they change the ropes, they change the lighting. It's like these cruiserweights can't rub elbows with anyone else in a regular feud, which I mean, like, I was just watching it was Chris Jericho, like Raw's Jericho or something on the network, and they were talking about the when Jericho made up that Goldberg feud for a little bit. I mean, these guys do need well established talent to feud with, other than just guys in their own division, because all these guys were brought in at the same time.
That's exactly what I was saying. You know, you're putting that label on them, and you have the whole set change to say, you know, this is cruiserweight action, and you have a whole show that's solely cruiserweight action. And if let's just say, just for an example, if Noam Dar became so popular right now that, you know, he's the brightest star in the sky, you know, and he goes up against, say, an AJ Styles for a major championship, are we really going to buy into that? I mean, that was one of the biggest problems in WCW with their cruiserweight division. They had some of the best matches on the card, but they weren't really allowed to progress. Chris Jericho, we'll give you the TV championship. Have fun with that. And I think, you know, Dean Malenko may have had a U.S. championship run, but that was about it. They would never allow that main event scene. Not that the main event wasn't completely dominated by the NWO at that point, but they were never allowed even close to that window, let alone the door to lead into the main event. So,
well, my thing is, as far as cruiserweight division is concerned, I don't think they're allowed to rub elbows, as you say, with anyone else on the roster, is because they're so busy and dead set trying to get that entire division over.
Yeah.
And now they're at the point where they're trying to focus on making individual stars feel special. Like, they've been building up promos for, like, a Tozawa this week debuted on 205, and now they've been building up Grand Metalik for a while. So I think they're really going to want to do something special with him. And they were doing that with Tajiri, but Tajiri got hurt right away.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that they even signed Tajiri outside of the Cruiserweight
I'm surprised
Classic.
he came out of retirement.
Yeah. At least those superstars are actually getting promoted and debuting. When the hell is Emelina showing up? We've been seeing those promos for how long?
They don't need it. I don't think they know what
is
they want to do with her.
Is she stealing another iPad? I mean, what the fuck?